Everyone, good morning. Welcome to the Directors Town Hall here in District 10 Stockton. It's a pleasure to have everyone. I'm Eric Mather, Deputy District Director of Administration here in Caltrans District 10. Please join me in welcoming all our esteemed guests today. And our esteemed guests, please join me in welcoming our amazing District 10 family. So I've been tasked with the housekeeping notes, which I'm very excited about. So off to my left, your right, is the restroom. In case of emergency, we will converge over by the pumps just over here. And we have coffee, cookies, and certainly look forward to the next hour with all of you. With that being said, it is my great honor and sincere pleasure to introduce our District 10 Director, Grace Magsayo.
Thank you, Eric. Well, good morning and welcome to District 10, my Caltrans family. Thank you. Let me try that again. Good morning. Okay, there we go. All right. So whether you are here with us in person at our maintenance facility in beautiful Stockton or watching virtually, I welcome you to the Caltrans Statewide Town Hall, coming to you live from District 10. I am Grace Magsayo, District 10 Director. And on behalf of our executive team, many of whom are here in person today, if I can ask them to make their presence known. Thank you so much. We welcome you to the Northern San Joaquin Valley, home of some of the world's richest agricultural land, the world's largest winery, that's right, and a major California port. Today, we are honored to host our director who will be speaking about our people, our strength, and our future. And in addition to both the director and acting chief deputy director, we'll be answering many of your questions. And let me tell you just a little bit about our acting chief deputy director, Ryan Dermody. He assumed that role on September 6th of this year after serving as District 9 director since May of 2020. He now provides strategic leadership and oversight for Caltrans statewide programs, policies, and operations. He works in close collaboration with the director and executive board. He plays a pivotal role in advancing the department's mission of improving lives and communities through transportation. Ryan, thank you for being here. Now, our director, Dina El-Tawansy, is a leader whose career has been defined by service, vision, and a deep commitment to our state's communities with more than 27 years at Caltrans, including leadership roles in both Northern and Southern California as the Deputy District Director of Operations and Maintenance and Director of Operations and Maintenance for District 12, and most recently, as the District Director for the Caltrans Bay Area District 4. Director El-Tawansy brings not only vast technical expertise, but a profound understanding of the human impact of transportation and a lifelong commitment to public service. At this time, it is my great honor to ask you all to welcome our keynote speaker, the Director of the California Department of Transportation, Dina El-Tawansy.
Good morning. My name is Dina El-Tawansy, and I serve as your Caltrans Director. I feel extremely humbled by this responsibility, which I do not take lightly. But I also feel extremely lucky that I had the opportunity to grow up in this organization, which I don't only consider as my employer, but in a lot of respects, my extended family. I'm familiar with all the work, the great work that you guys do throughout the ranks. And I know it's a lot, but I also know that we're capable and resilient. I want to take a moment to thank District 10 and Director Magsayo. I always say your name wrong. Grace. I apologize. and her team for the incredible and warm welcome that I received today. It is my first time visiting District 10, and I'm very honored to be here with all our team members, but I also would like to extend a warm welcome to everybody that's online joining us as well. We all know that every district has its own unique perspective and innovations, but together we are all sharing one mission, and that is improving lives and communities through transportation. Next slide, please. Today, our theme is Our People, Our Strength, Our Future. Our strength and the strength of any organization is directly related to the culture that we foster, our innovation, collaboration, and dedication that are all driving the success that we see today and throughout. And it also shapes the future that we're trying to build together. Every improvement we make, whether it's delivering safer projects, embracing new technology, or strengthening partnership, starts with the people in this department. And everything that we do impacts everybody in the state of California, millions of people, whether it's safety, mobility, or just trying to improve their quality of life. Our strategic plan is how we turn that impact into lasting progress. It connects the daily work that each and every one of you is doing to the broader vision of the transportation system. So today I want to take the next few minutes to talk about our strategic management plan, what's in it, what it means for all of us. And then after I'm done with that presentation, I want to be able to take questions that we've received prior to the town hall, and also questions that I look forward to receiving in here. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So our department's strategic management plan for 24 through 28 is focused on one simple idea, and that is transportation is about people. Every decision we make should be about people, improving their safety, expanding their opportunities, and strengthening the communities that we are serving. The plan is built on 5 main goals, and 4 of those are well aligned with our core values of safety, equity, climate action, and prosperity. The 5th one is employee excellence, which reflects our commitment to the people that are behind the scenes, the engine that's driving this progress for our organization. Next slide, please. It should come as no surprise to anyone that safety is our #1 goal. In 2023, 4,061 fatalities happened on our roads. In 2024, the number went down just slightly to 3,807 fatalities. Now that means 10 people dying on our road every single day. This cannot and should never be normalized. The intrusions within our worker closures are unfortunately on the rise, and our maintenance staff and our construction staff will tell you that. If you follow the incidents that are happening, you know that it's on the rise. Our work zone injuries are also something that we're keeping close tab on. Just a few weeks ago, we lost one of our colleagues in District 4, Mahdi Quram. He was working on a construction site in Contra Costa County when he was fatally injured. While no amount of life lost on our roadway is acceptable, I know especially it's very painful when it's one of our Caltrans family members. Trust me, and I had to do this a couple of times, unfortunately. No director, no executive member staff like to go and console a widow or see a 3-year-old child left behind. For these reasons and more, safety must always remain our #1 priority. We should not, and we will not accept death or serious injuries as a cost of mobility in California. Safety is the responsibility of everybody, not just the safety division. It's the responsibility of the planners, of the designers, of those that are constructing our system, those that are operating and maintaining it. When you're putting pen to paper, are you thinking of the end user? Are we thinking of the public that's going to be using it? Are we thinking of our own state forces that are going to have to maintain it? Is it safe for them to be out there? Is this a safe design? These are the questions that we need to always ask ourselves. As a department, we need to continue to do more. And that means partnering with the industry, finding innovations that help with safety, and also leveraging the safe system approach, which I'll talk about in just a minute. I want to give a quick highlight for the department's Injury, Illness, and Protection Program. They do essential work, and please do take your training, your safety training, follow the established protocols, and assess our work sites for hazards. Make sure you're wearing your PPEs at all times. Most importantly, we need to continue to look out for one another. I also want to recognize the Office of Health and Safety, both at headquarters and in the districts, for all the tireless work they do in guiding, supporting, and championing the commitment to safety every day. Next slide, please. Caltrans was one of the first DOTs around the nation to adopt the safe system approach. And what it is, it's really a holistic look at the entire transportation system. It's looking at how we design our roads, how vehicles are built, what's people's behavior, and how we respond when a crash happens. There are 6 core principles that goes into the safe system approach. 1, death and serious injuries are unacceptable. Humans will make mistakes. Humans are vulnerable. Safety is a shared responsibility for everyone, and safety is both proactive and reactive, and then redundancy within our system really helps. Putting these principles into action means safer speed, safer roads, safer vehicles, and safer people's behavior. Implementing the safe system approach has already yielded some really good results throughout the state, from the Bay Area to the Central Valley and beyond. When we put in smarter pedestrian systems, we are actually helping those pedestrians and bike users navigate intersections more safely. We're also alerting drivers to slow down or stop sooner. And I want to give a couple of shout-outs for a couple of good projects that I want to highlight. In District 5, there was the project for Innovative Turbo Roundabout in San Benito County. This is actually helping goods and movements and people moving effectively while reducing the risk of collisions. I also want to give a shout out to District 7 for all the good work that they're doing on Pacific Coast Highway, looking at how we do better design, stronger enforcement, and more public education. They have a list of short-term plans and long-term fixes that we need to both work on. These are some of the tangible examples of the safe system approach in action. Next slide, please. Equity is the second of Caltrans' core priorities. So what does equity mean in transportation? It means building a system that serves all modes of travel, all abilities, all ages, and all income level. It also means active engagement with the communities throughout the state. We are not able to deliver a project that serves a community's need unless we have talked to the community and understand that need. Let's go to the next slide, please. So I want to talk shortly about our director's policy on community engagement, and that's the first of its kind in California. This policy will set clear expectations and create consistency across districts. When we engage with our communities, we know what their needs are. And really, I want to put out a call out to all of you here. You need to participate in shaping that policy, because every district is unique in its needs. Every district is unique in its topography and its partners. So when you are feeding that information to us as we're developing this policy, it's really important. The last thing I want to do is to put out policies from headquarters that does not help the districts or hinder their progress. We want to make sure we're building on what you're doing. One of the things that we just launched is the Caltrans engagement portal. It's a new online tool that helps us connect more directly with all Californians. The project will help us hold virtual meetings, share materials in multiple languages, and track our outreach. We can also identify more engagement as needed. But let's be clear, the portal is not to replace that in-person interaction. It enhances our ability to connect with communities throughout the whole life of the project. One of the challenges that I've seen in my previous role as a district director is we start a conversation with the community, we commit to certain things, players change, whether on our side or the local elected officials or the community's opinion change. And as the project progresses, a lot of the commitments that we've made are lost. One of the good things that this portal will do is to actually document and memorialize all those commitments. Next slide, please. Another focus for us is tribal engagement. Last year, Headquarters, Division of Equity and Tribal Affairs, worked closely with our legal division to remove the limited waiver of sovereign immunity requirements for the Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant Program. This eliminated a long-standing barrier that made it difficult for federally recognized tribes to access federal funding directly. Next slide, please. I apologize, go back one. That change has cut grant timeline from nearly 2 years to just a few months. I want to thank District 1 for their outstanding work in this space. They put together an annual tribal summit along with District 2 and 3, which they host annually, and they partner with tribes like the Hoopa Valley and Yurok tribes. And they also held very recently a recruitment workshop to help some of those tribal members access jobs within the state. Now, next slide. Whether we call it climate action, climate stressor, call it whatever you want to call it, the reality is we're seeing a lot of wildfires, we're seeing a lot of flooding, we're seeing sea level rise happening across the state. We saw what happened earlier this year in District 7 and how our teams there were able to respond. We also saw how much compassion came from across all districts, reaching out to District 7 to offer their help and reaching out to fund some of the needs of those families that lost their homes there. I think, and don't quote me on this, I think it was 12 of our employees that lost their home during that fire. Extreme weather events are happening everywhere. You know, you're seeing flooding that's happening across the state. We see the climate and the weather stressor changing our coastline, as evident in a number of districts. District 4 with Gleason Beach, District 5 with Big Sur, and the big one that we're trying to fund now, and I hear some giggles up here in the front, Lost Chance Grade. Director Brady's here. What does that mean for us? It means that our work is changing. We have to think of more resilient ways to build our highways and to fortify them. It means also that we have to think about sustainable means and method of how we construct or maintain. It means that we need to think about sustainable material that goes into those designs. And I want to give a shout out to our maintenance division, because they are leading the charge in a lot of this work throughout the district as they clear out vegetation. They do their vegetation control annually. They're managing more than 130,000 acres of public lands. This vegetation control can be the difference between life and death when it comes to evacuating routes, as we've seen on I-15, on State Route 74 down in Orange County too, and other parts of the state. Unfortunately, a lot of the wildfires that happened just a few years ago are very fresh in everybody's memory, and the lives that were lost. Next slide. But beyond just looking at how we react, we also need to cut emission at its source. And Caltrans has been doing a lot of emission reduction in its vehicles and facilities. So we have reduced our carbon footprint by 46% since 2010. We're also accelerating the progress of all this work by decarbonization of our Caltrans buildings, replacing gas and propane systems with renewable electricity, and installing solar panels. We are also helping lead California nationally when it comes to zero-emission vehicle infrastructure. Caltrans manages over $500 million in federal funds to expand AV and hydrogen fueling, including $384 million through the NEVI program for fast charging along key corridors. The construction of the first NEVI facility or site is already underway in District 11 in San Diego. Just last week, our governor announced that California has reached a record-breaking high in zero-emission vehicle sales. So you can tell that the public are coming along, and the shift is actually happening. Also, our Trade Corridor Enhancement Program, Caltrans has also invested $110 million to electrify freight corridors, adding truck charging at ports and major routes throughout the state. Finally, climate action is not just about the project, but it's also about people. How do we move people? How are we finding solutions that reduces our emission and carbon footprint? This includes biking, walking, our complete streets. Are we incentivizing people to get out of their car, to use transit? These are the kind of things that we need to also look at. We all know we're not going to be able to build our way out of congestion. We build more lanes, the lanes get filled up. We need to find alternative solutions. People need to have choices. And I think that is something that we need to continue to focus on. Our new Director's Transit Policy underscores that transit is central on how California will meet its climate and equity goals. One of the things that all of our districts are starting to work on is also the transit plans. District 4 led the pack with actually producing the first transit plan. But looking at those opportunities for us to make transit more accessible where it's available. And that requires a lot of coordination with our transit partners and working very closely with them. With these efforts, we're not just adapting to the challenges, we're leading California's transformation towards a safer, more resilient transportation system. Next slide, please. Our fourth goal is economic prosperity. So what does economic prosperity have to do with Caltrans? Everything. We build the roads that connect people. They connect people to education, to workplaces, and essential services. They connect and link businesses to their markets and their supply chains. Every dollar that we're investing on our roadways actually yields back $1.50 in economic activity. And if you're thinking our project delivery teams are not busy, you need to give them a huge round of applause, because guess how much investments we have right now as we're speaking on our road. First, give them a round of applause, please. We've got out there contract allotment exceeding $15.2 billion. These dollars represent real jobs, real opportunities, and a lasting investment on our infrastructure and for our communities. Prosperity is not only just about projects, though. It's also about empowering people. That's why Caltrans created the Heavy Equipment Operator Academy, and an innovative partnership that helps develop the next generation of our maintenance professionals. It provides free hands-on training and certification, helping participants, especially those that are coming from underserved communities, earn a well-paying career in transportation, construction, heavy construction. The next academy is actually starting at the end of this month, and I'm looking at Director Navarro in District 6 in Fresno. One other thing related to prosperity that I want to talk about, because it's been occupying so much of our time and effort, is the middle mile broadband. During the pandemic, those of us that lived in rural areas found out the importance of having high-speed internet. I will share with you that one of the videos I watched was a mother that had to drive half an hour to get internet connection for her child to do their homework. When people don't have that kind of access, they are really deprived from access to a lot of opportunities. And Caltrans, yet one more time, rose up to meet a challenge. We rose up to meet the moment. When the California Department of Transportation reached out to us to help them with their middle mile broadband, we took that on. We're currently constructing 300 miles of broadband infrastructure, and we're permitting more than 3,300 across the state. These routes will form the backbone of California's open access to fiber. But I want to also acknowledge that our teams have done an outstanding job as we continue to pivot and change direction on that project. I know it's a lot, and I know that we've been asking you to change directions many times, but keep your eyes on the prize. When those folks have access to internet one day, it will be your good work that led to it. Thank you all. Please give them a huge round of applause. We're also advancing prosperity for our freight industry, the cornerstone of California's economy. Truck drivers move the goods that keep our economy running, and they struggle to find safe places and legal places to stop and rest. California is addressing that through some new investments, and this is a joint venture with other states. But basically, we're trying to find parking and display parking information for truckers across the state along I-5, I-10, and I-80. This provides real-time parking availability data, which leads to safer parking and safer resting spots for those truckers. Each of these efforts is about ensuring that the growth is shared, that it's sustainable, and it's reaching every corner of our state. Next slide, please. I have to say I like all of our goals, but this one in particular is very near and dear to my heart. Because without the engine that's driving this organization, which is all of you, we're not going anywhere. It's all your good work, really, that leads us there. Employee excellence means creating a workspace that has talent that are nurtured, processes that are improved, and where employees feel safe. In our 2024 employee survey, 91% of Caltrans employees recommended Caltrans as a great place to work. Last year, Forbes ranked Caltrans number 38 on its list of best places in California to work. Improving our talents and being able to support our staff is really a very big focus for me. The Office of Talent Management has expanded opportunities for mentorship and career development across the department. Our mentorship program just wrapped up its 10th season, the largest yet, with 531 participants. Applications for season 11 will be open very soon, I think December 5th. And I saw Tom earlier here, but I don't see him right now, but he gives me the thumbs up. But what I want to say is encourage your folks to join that mentorship program. We need more mentors. And we don't need mentors only in the engineering or the planning divisions. We need mentors across the board. We need mentors for maintenance, for right-of-way, for admin, for land surveyors, and also for local assistance. There's a lot of mentorship to be done. So if you're listening to me and you're one of those divisions, please do step up and help mentor somebody. We have a huge churn in our workforce that happened within the past few years, and I'm looking at Aaron. What was the percent that we... Over 50% of our workforce in the department is new, and this has happened since 2020. So that means each and every one of us is responsible for mentorship. We have also grown our career development program, dedicated counseling, career counseling, and formal partnership with the Sacramento State University, allowing graduates to take courses and workshops on crafting statement of qualifications, preparing for interviews, and exploring new opportunities. 300 employees have already participated since February. Also, our Office of Learning and Development is also transforming how we deliver training. And there's a lot that goes into that, but stay tuned. We are really looking at how we can improve that. But again, I think all these mentorship programs are great, but the informal mentorship is really great too. And I can share with you from personal experience that a lot of my personal growth happened informally, where I just walked over to somebody else's cubicle and asked, how do I do this? Where do I find the resource to solve this problem? We're also investing in a lot of innovation and, AI, which is going to help us do our jobs better. It's going to help us leverage that technology for safer roads, safer practices. AI will not be replacing jobs as people think. AI will enhance our ability to do our work. Speaking of AI, I don't know if you noticed, but we have a visitor that's attending the town hall with me today, Spot, our robotic dog. Spot, sit. Wow. If only Sophie and Ace in my house did the same when I listened. But really, technology is the way to go. Spot has been helping us going through culverts and tight spaces, being able to collect information. It makes it safer for our maintenance workers. And I think there is a brother for Spot that's also in Southern District, but I don't know the name. But this is the kind of technology that we need to leverage to help us do our job better. Our goal is to build a workspace where innovation is shared, mentorship is prioritized, and every employee has an opportunity to thrive. When we invest in our people, their learning, their leadership, and their future, we're also investing in the strength of our department and the success of the whole state of California. Thank you for giving me those few minutes. I appreciate your attention. And I want to say thank you again for all of you that are here. I now want to invite Ryan Dermody, our acting chief deputy, to come up to the podium. But before I start answering questions, and I look forward to that, I want to take a moment to recognize a couple of our executive staff members that have announced that they're retiring. Janice Benetton, our Deputy Director for Maintenance, Operations, Safety, and Equipment. Please stand up. Thank you, Janice. We will all miss you. It's been a pleasure working with you all those years. I want to also recognize Felicita Clemens, our Chief of Staff, who's also quitting on us. Thank you, Felicita, for all the good work that you've been doing for the department for many years. Appreciate both of you. Now, Ryan, would you please come up so we can start answering some questions?
Don't forget your microphone. All right, good morning, District 10. Thanks for the warm, thank you. Good. And everybody watching out online streaming, many of you have been to town halls in the past, and so this is kind of similar, where we're going to ask some questions of the director from some pre-submitted questions, but we've also got some of you here in the audience, which is why we came out here. We want to hear from a lot of you too. So if you don't ask a question, we are going to call on you, and I have a friend here that's going to help do that. District Director Navarro may come back and find some of you that are sitting in the way back there, because you sit in the back doesn't mean you get out of asking questions. And it's not every day the director comes to District 10 or anywhere across the state. So all those questions you have in your mind, let's do it. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. We're going to do the first question. Oh, wow. This one hits close to home. As many of you know, I grew up in the Transportation Planner series, and this has been a question that's been asked for many years in many town halls. Many of us in the planner and right-of-way classifications have been asking about pay parity for years. Although some raises have occurred, according to the LAO and UC Berkeley, our salaries still lag behind inflation by about 15% since 1991. My understanding is the director can delay shop projects to allow for these raises, and that this was once done many years ago for the senior transportation engineer classification. I think this was during the time of Director Dougherty's, when he was director.
Did you see the look at the chief engineer's face when he said you're going to take it from shop? A very good question, and it is definitely a very good question. I just want to say that the pay parities and the salaries is really not something that Caltrans is taking the lead on. We can make recommendation, but a lot of this, the lead comes from CalHR and the Department of Finance. We are constantly working for them and advocating and working with labor unions for these kind of asks. You know, we do recognize that there are some parities, and it's something that the department's actively working on all the time. But I want to also look at Aaron and see if he has anything he wanted to add. Aaron Ashoko, our Deputy of Administration, if he wants to add on that.
Can I call on Spot to help me out? You know, I've had the opportunity to work with now 5 directors in an executive position over labor. And I will say one of the first things that comes up with each and every one of them is to be an advocate for our people. So in all transparency, and to add to some of the things that the director said, we work hand in hand with CalHR for all of our classifications. We gather data, we gather information from all of the entities from across districts, from across programs, from internal to external, and we bring that to strong partners at CalHR and also work with our strong partners in the unions. We have a very good relationship with all of our unions, from the maintenance unions, the engineering unions, to planning and right-of-way. So we will continue those relationships. I've been through multiple negotiations, and I will tell you some of those are all-night-long type of negotiations where I call up the director or the chief deputy and I say, are we okay with this? And I've never heard a no. In fact, it's always, what can we do to navigate through each and every type of negotiation that we have. I'll give a very brief example. One of the things that we try and do for our maintenance folks as well is to bring out CalHR staff and to work the jobs, those that are negotiating for the state, so that they understand what our people do, and we do that throughout all of the classifications. It's very challenging because, remember, some of these classifications are across the board to many different entities. But know this, and I've worked from the very entry level of the organization where I was wondering this question as well, that your teams are advocating for you each and every step of the process.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right. So, just a fun fact. This is my first time to District 10 in Stockton. There's one district I have not been to yet, And Sergio, you better roll out the red carpet because I have not been to District 3 yet, even though I've been to Sacramento and headquarters many times. So you're next. You're welcome. Yes, thank you. So I get to check off Stockton now, and yeah, this is great. So roll out the red carpet, please. Thank you. All right, let's go out to the audience. Anybody have a question out there? I know you do.
Anybody who would like to come up and ask a question, the microphone is right here. Please come up.
Don't be shy. This is your chance. It's okay. It's a safe space. I'm going to have to get the District 6 director up to go pick somebody. I didn't want to go here. Oh, wait, we got somebody coming up.
I know we're a people-first organization. Safety is our number one priority. When are we going to actively do something about communications? We're still sending people out on incidents, on emergency responses. We had a crew out last week, 14 hours with no radio communications, no cell phones. I know the technology's out there. I think our people deserve to have the tools they need to do their job safely.
Thank you for that question. And yes, they certainly deserve to have all the tools that they need. I don't know what the special circumstances are that led to them not having a method of communication out there, but this is something that definitely we want our district directors to make sure that they're working with their crews, especially when they're out in an area where they're going to be spending several hours or long closures. And you know, communication is very essential. I'll just tell you this last week with what happened on I-5 down in San Diego, our maintenance field staff were really running the show, communicating with CHP and with everybody. Most of the time when a big incident happens, really the field staff are the ones that are leading the charge. And we need to make sure that they do have the equipment that they need, the right PPEs, they have the cell phones or the means of communication. That should never be lost at any given time. Yeah. Right. And I know there's other state agencies that use it. But Caltrans doesn't. We're certainly going to take that back to our maintenance division chief to look into it. But that is a very important need. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. Looks like we have another one here.
Hi. I wasn't planning on asking a question, but I noticed that AI was brought up earlier today. So I had a question. In regards to AI implementation, can you give examples of what that might look like for the average Caltrans employee, and how might quality control concerns be addressed?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Look, AI is becoming the reality that we have to grapple with, we have to work with. AI is also an incredible opportunity for us. When we are leveraging technology for safety uses, this is going to help a lot of us. Like, for example, Spot, the robotic dog here, can climb up hillsides, can get into confined spaces safely, where we do not need to deploy one of our staff to be in this kind of situation. AI is also very helpful. I don't know if all of you know, but the department is really working on two big projects, two big pilots related to AI. One is for mobility insights, really gathering data out there that's going to help us improve our mobilities on our roads. The second one is for vulnerable road users, looking at sites where accidents have happened. What was the characteristics? What was the circumstances that led to that? And using that information to help us design safer intersections with similar characteristics. These are two of the pilots that the department is engaging on. a lot of people are worried about AI and the implications that this is going to mean somebody's job is going to go away. What it's going to do, the jobs are going to evolve. AI will help us put together information, analyze that information. But at the end of the day, we need a person, a subject matter expert that's going to look at that information and say that makes sense or does not make sense. The hope here is that it helps us with the efficiency. It helps us do better work. It helps us cut a lot of those tedious tasks that take a very long time for us to do. We're also using AI in design, BIM for I, where we're looking at projects early on during the design phase to make sure that it's constructible, that it makes sense. A lot of the mistakes that were caught during the construction phase, we're able now to use that information technology model and be able to catch those mistakes early on. That makes us realize a lot of efficiencies. Millions and millions of dollars are going to be saved as a result of using that technology. So there's so many uses for AI, and I mean, that's a topic that we can talk about for a very long time. But the bottom line is, it's here to help us. And it's one of the things that the department will be embarking on is how do we deploy this technology throughout the whole state and train each and every one of you to be able to use it. We also need to make sure that our usage is ethical. We need to make sure that we have the proper guidance for all of us as we are using those tools. But a lot to come on AI. Thank you for the question.
Okay, let's go back to one of the cards. Question 1. Many employees have shared concerns and questions about the future of Caltrans telework and return to office policies.
That should have been the first question. I thought that was...
I skipped it. No. Including how these changes align with the governor's orders, support operational needs, and affect both employee well-being and the state's climate goals, as well as Caltrans' perspective on balancing these priorities and what the future of telework looks like.
Yeah, thank you for that question. And I know that question is actually on everybody's mind. I get asked that question all the time. Look, we have an executive order from our governor. So we have our marching order that we need to be back in the office 4 days a week. Now, there's a whole array of benefits that come from that. We talked a little bit about mentoring. We talked about collaboration, building our teams. 50% of the department is new folks. That means we need to train them. That training and interaction is going to be extremely difficult in the virtual space. And I also want to point out something that's really important because we lose sight of that. You see all those men and women in orange? They never telework. They've been through it. Thank you. Our maintenance staff, our construction staff, our land surveyors. I do recognize that telework has given us some flexibility. And really the intent is how do we strike that balance to maintain some flexibility while we are still fostering that collaboration and growing the leadership within the department. There's a lot of benefits also for telework when it comes to reducing emissions. But as I talked, we're looking at all those supplemental strategies that we can use to help reduce emissions. This is going to be an evolving conversation, but sharing what I know with you today is that we will be back in the office starting July 1st, 2026. There's so many benefits that's going to come out of that. And to some of our new employees, this is going to be really your training ground, on-the-job training. So thank you for the question, and I'll continue to keep you informed if there's anything else that I become aware of related to the return to the office message. I got the thumbs up from my admin deputy. Anything else you want to add, Aaron? No?
Well said, Director. I just wanted to acknowledge that the last 6 years have been really challenging and hard for everyone. We have weathered a pandemic. We have weathered many changes through administration, through leadership, through everything. I love that the director acknowledged all our field people that kept us safe, all of the people that were emergency workers that kept us safe as well. What I ask is that we all have patience with each other. We have patience with our leadership, with our peers. We know that there's many different struggles, whether it be in office, whether it be virtual, whether we go through anything. But I know there is a reason that in everything, our people lead first, right? And the tagline is our people, and it means something. So what I do ask, whether it's through facilities, through our operations, through our policies, that have patience, have grace with each other, I think is the biggest thing, because we can accomplish anything. If we weathered what we've weathered in the last 6 years, we'll get through anything together, and we'll get through it stronger. So thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thanks, Aaron. I believe we have a question from the audience, and I don't know if Deputy Director Ochoko needs to keep standing or if that's for someone else.
Hi. I just wanted to follow up on that question regarding the return to office. I wanted to know how that aligned with one of our goals with reducing emissions. That was my one question. And then secondly, I just wanted to make a comment regarding, going virtual and having that opportunity to do things virtually and connect with so many different people across the entire state of California. I mean, through the mentorship program, which I was a part of this last season, I know that people had mentors throughout the entire state that were not in their own district. And I felt like that was such a beneficial thing for them. And it's so important. And I feel like even for me, I'm originally from District 4, and so I recently transferred here. And I feel like that wouldn't have been possible had I not had the opportunity to communicate with so many different people. So I feel like I understand the return to office and how that's kind of out of our hands a little bit, because it's a, governor directive. But I also feel like, we do have to take a moment to appreciate the great things that going virtual did bring and how it helped us become an even better organization over the past 5 years.
No, I appreciate your follow through with that question. And I know that this is on everybody. Yeah, feel free to clap. Just because we have a policy doesn't mean that you are not entitled to speaking your mind and saying your opinion. And I really appreciate that. Yes, there were many benefits, of course, for the virtual world. And I know that there were a lot of environmental benefits as well, reducing gas emissions. And we're trying to find a way to really use those other strategies to help offset some of that. But what I want to say is, and when I talk about other strategies, the electrical scooters, the biking, the transit, the ability to use just other modes of transit, other modes of transportation that will get you to the office. But the virtual world is not going away. The benefits that you talked about is not going to go away. We learned how to go virtual. And right now, when I need to be in 5 places at the same time, I use the virtual method to be able to do that. I use the virtual method to be able to cut efficiencies when it comes to traveling when it's warranted. And that will continue to be. Our goal as a department is to find that thoughtful balance. And that may require additional work, as was stated by our Deputy for Administration. We are working on how we can find that balance. But as what we know today is that we are required to be back in the office 4 days a week. And we'll do everything in our capacity. If we have additional flexibility, we'll be able to pass that additional flexibility on to you. But I look at all of you to really help us implement that starting July 1st, 2026. And by the way, our executive team is all back in the office 4 days a week already. So that's across headquarters and the districts. So we are modeling a way. I'm not asking anybody to do anything that I am not willing to do or the rest of our executive team is not already doing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that.
Thank you. My question is, how can we classify the dispatcher clerks to become public safety dispatchers? Because we're here 24/7, rain, shine, anything,
Yes.
and we're the lifeline to the maintenance guys that are out doing their jobs. How can we get classified at a higher class so we can get paid accordingly?
Thank you for that question. And just I want to share with you the sentiment of how important the work that you guys are doing, the dispatchers that we have. They're on 24/7. They're the ones receiving all the calls across the state for emergencies and conditions on the road. So I thank you for everything that you do. That's a very good question, but I will have to punt over to Aaron again, which I should have had sitting right next to me here, because he's aware of some of the details of maybe what can go into that response. I don't know.
Thank you. Excellent question. And thank you for keeping that at the forefront. We continue to work with CalHR on the issue. That has been brought up through our maintenance program, and we will continue to advocate for additional benefits for that classification. We are aware of the issue.
Oh, and I do have one more thing to add, is that we have, like, for our dispatch here in District 10, we have 7 people working 24/7. How can we speed up the hiring process to get more people? We get people who's applying, but it takes forever.
Thank you. And normally I would get a little more grumbling in my stomach on that question, but I am very excited on 2 forefronts of the hiring process. One is with the help of IT, and I know we have some of our IT staff here, we are on the verge of implementing a new system where we will be tracking our position control paperwork and all of the position numbers as well. In all transparency, in at least my 20 years of being an admin at Caltrans and 30 years with the state, we have been in many ways blind in the process. So with this, we will be able to appropriately address any of the issues on the hiring process, know where our bottlenecks are, and address those. So that's really exciting. Even more exciting, and maybe divulging more than I should with the innovation of the state and GovOps, is they are looking overall at the statewide hiring process. And what I am told is there will be massive changes or opportunities for our departments to adopt those changes in the coming months. In fact, I believe 3 of our districts will be piloting that starting like now. And that will evolve because there are many different aspects to that. But the state is looking at eliminating numerous parts of the hiring process to streamline it, to make it more efficient, and to expedite the process. Now, if there are specific resource questions as to positions and maintenance, I'd have to turn it over to any other our other folks. But I am very excited. We are on the forefront of major changes to the hiring process. So number 1, internally updating our system and knowing what the processes are. And then number 2, I think the administration is very well aware of the need, and they are doing that by eliminating potentially many parts of the hiring process to expedite it. So thank you for that question.
I just heard the commitment from Aaron that we're going to make this better. So we're gonna all have to hold him responsible for that.
And Deputy,
Yes.
I think you need a chair up here because
Yeah, we should have run.
Yeah, I wish Aaron hadn't sat down yet. I have 2 questions. The question that I'm going to address first, I didn't actually intend to address. I actually didn't think of until Aaron mentioned something, which is why I said I wish he hadn't sat down. But the question that I would like to address to Aaron is, it was mentioned that there are some upcoming changes to the hiring process. I was wondering if one of those changes might hopefully be addressing the fact that we seem to, if I can put it this way, hire in arrears rather than do. I know that there's a term that we use, planning, succession planning. So it seems apparent to me that in a lot of ways we don't really do succession planning for certain positions or roles, and we essentially wait until the people that are doing those are retired or have moved on to their next step before we look at backfilling those positions. Are we going to begin to start addressing that practice, I guess I'll say, in a more proactive way?
So I'm going to start by saying that this is something that we're very well aware of. The succession planning is something that we're working on multiple levels. one of the things that we have been doing in various positions is trying to bring somebody, when we know somebody is going to be leaving or retiring, we try to bring somebody on board prior to the retirement. And the hope here is that the knowledge of some of the transfer, or at least the processes of how we do things happen. It's a great point. We need to do more in that, but it's something that we're already doing. But succession planning throughout the organization is just not the responsibility of me or this team here in the front. It's the responsibility of all of us. And I really mean that with all sincerity, because the amount of learning that I did early in my career from our field folks, for example, has carried me through this whole experience being where I am today. So really reach out to the newcomers, reach out to new people. If they ask you a question, answer it. And for those that are joining the organization new, ask questions. No question is a bad question. I'd rather you ask the question to do something that you're not supposed to do, or something that subjects you to a safety risk. So please ask questions. You've got a 22,000 employee family organization here that can answer that question for you. I guarantee you're going to find somebody that will have an answer for you. Thank you for that, Israel.
And I definitely appreciate that, because we've had some people retire from our unit that I work in over in District 4 who had decades of experience doing what they do. And I feel like we could have gotten more out of that if we had had more time to kind of prepare for them to be leaving their position. But my second question, you mentioned a little while ago that roughly 50% of our current workforce has come on board in the last couple of years. And you also mentioned the Equipment Operator Academy. You mentioned another academy. Could you give us a little bit more in terms of what Caltrans is doing to develop the skills and skill sets for different categories of work in Caltrans, because that's something that I see that we have a lot of resource and knowledge. You know, all these people that we have that have decades of experience. Are we doing more in terms of kind of helping? I guess aside from those two academies you mentioned, what else are we doing in terms of helping people gain those skills that, like training and apprenticeship, internship type of experiences?
That's a great question, but I don't know if we have enough time to really go over all the things that are happening. So here's what I'm going to commit to. We're going to send out an email with all the different resources, and I'm looking at Tom and his team here that are available for training that are happening within the department. I think this will be a much more comprehensive list, and it will also help answer that question. And different people are going to find different interests within all the different programs that we have. But we've got a very large variety of programs that the department is undertaking. Yes.
Good morning. First and foremost, thank you so much for coming to our district. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Karen Bonetti Ramirez. I am the district payment advisor. And I take as a personal commitment to make of every project a learning experience for everyone involved, especially our new engineers. And I want to emphasize that the ability we have now to do it virtually. I go in the field. I'm the boots on pavement type of person. I will go with our field maintenance, new engineers, and I was in the field yesterday. So making sure that our operations are in line of what we needed, because it is very important for us to make sure that every dollar invested yields the best product we can buy with it. I am committed to that. And I also want to say that being able to do a lot of the work we do from home has increased my personal ability to do more work. The 2 days that we come, those are my least efficient days. And I am personally concerned that when I have 4 days in the office, how is that going to impact my productivity and the quality of my work? I would like to see our upper management, our governor, consider a gradual return, perhaps increased by 1 day at a time. Coming and that sudden change could impact our productivity highly.
Yeah, so I know I answered that question a couple of times, but Again, I'm going to tell you what I know today is that we have an executive order that we must comply with. And I know that the implementation timeline, after some of the negotiations with the labor unions, we were supposed to be already in the office 4 days a week now. And that was delayed to July 1st, 2026. I am committed to offering any new information that comes within that regard. But I do encourage each and every one of us, whatever we learned in the virtual world, we can still use. These are tools that are going to be transferable. So continue to use those where it's applicable and more efficient. Continue to use the face-to-face interaction where it's more applicable. We've got our toolbox has really expanded, and there's so many different tools that we can use. But thank you for that
I'm
question.
one of the very few that have a cubicle of my own. Most of them are shared. How are we going to handle the increased capacity with parking, office space, cubicle space for everyone to come pretty much on the same days?
Do you want to talk about the office space?
Not the movie. Thank you.
All excellent questions, and we are working diligently with the Department of General Services on all of our space issues. We're aware in multiple districts, and especially in headquarters, that we have space issues. And so we will continue to work with Department of General Services and Department of Finance to address those issues as well. This is going to be an issue where we really do need patience of all of our team members, our leadership teams, our facilities staff, our IT staff. We're going to be working together to make things work and adapt to meet the mandate of the administration. And it is going to require a lot of patience on our part, because there may be timelines that we have. There may be certain different timelines in districts, dependent upon space, and in headquarters as well. So just please be patient. Know that we're working behind the scenes with both Department of General Services, Department of Finance, and the administration. Thank you.
So I just want to cut in real quick. We have time for one more question, but if you had a question out there in the audience today or online, the director has committed to answering those questions. We will post a FAQ on our website when we get to those and be able to handle that. So one more question, and then we're going to close out. Thank you.
I guess I'm the lucky one. Good morning, Director El-Tawansy. Thank you for sharing the AI co-pilots and the pilot program, focusing the same on workforce development. My question to you is, what qualities or skills or roles will become more critical in the next decade or so as AI become more integrated into our daily work processes? And second part of the question around the same is, what qualities do you see in the future Caltrans leaders over the next decade for them to be successful in this rapidly changing technological environment? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. That's a question that I cannot take in a couple of minutes, but I'm going to try my best. A number of qualities are going to be really important. One is our ability to look at data and be able to analyze that and make whether or not it makes sense. So the expertise that we gain throughout our years doing the different type of work, we are going to be the judge. AI can offer you something, but at the end of the day, you are the judge if that makes sense or not, if that's something that you're going to include in a report or not. Some of the skills that we need to continue to work on is really the softer skills. Our ability to interact as a team, our ability to interact with the communities that we have to work with, and our leadership skills on the leadership level. And by the way, leadership is not only at the top level, it's throughout the whole organization. So these are some of the skill sets that I really encourage people to invest in. The use of technology, and a lot of our younger generations prefer, computers and phones and all the electrical devices to that interaction. And we learn a lot from them too. I personally learn a lot from them. But there is space for both. There's space for that interaction and the technology, but there's also space for the human part of what we do. And you cannot replace that. You're never going to be able to replace the ability to talk to people, to learn from people. This kind of interaction is what builds a stronger community. Especially in times of crisis, which Caltrans thrives at. I mean, we do a great job. But really what helps us is, alongside with the technology, is our ability to connect with one another, is that personal knowledge of your team members. What are their strengths? What do they bring to the table? If I have a gap, who do I need to go to cover that gap? these kind of skill sets you're not going to be able to get from technology advancements. So these are some of the things that are going to become, in my personal opinion, and it remains to be seen. I mean, as things evolve, we're going to find out some problems are going to be solved and additional problems are going to rise. So we need to be more agile. We need to be able to pivot. We need to be able to utilize what we can for the benefits it gives and steer away from all the negative parts of new technology. So it's a great question, and I wish I had a comprehensive answer, but I don't. It remains to be seen. Thank you.
All right, great questions there, District 10. Director, do you have any final thoughts before we close?
No, I just want to say thank you to all of you. Thank you for all the good work that you're doing. I'm very proud of us as an organization. I've always been proud from day one. I set foot in this organization 27 years ago. I've always been proud of the work that we do. And I see it day in and day out, all the work of all our forces across all districts and within headquarters. Thank you for everything that you do, and keep up the good work. Stay on top of it, please. Thank you.